It is Saturday morning, and I am sitting in our chocolate shop. I just made a tank of hot chocolate from scratch using the exact recipe as the hot chocolate mix we sell on our website. We'll be giving away hot chocolate free all day today, as we do all day every day in our shops. I work 6 days a week, and I plan to keep up that schedule for the foreseeable future. It would be easy for me to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over the years, I have developed quite a hearty work ethic, and I love working in our chocolate business. But I limit myself for the good of my family. Kids don't get to choose their parents, and my kids didn't sign up for the entrepreneurial lifestyle. They were born into it. And while I expose them quite a bit to the level of work and sacrifice necessary to keep a business going, I do make an effort to tone myself back a bit. I know that my wife appreciates that too. That is why I take Sunday off completely, except for getting up early to write my daily email. However, today is a work day. Saturday is my day to man shop number one. Shop number two is all staffed up. I don't expect any people to come in for the next 30 to 40 minutes since I got here early, and that gives me just enough time to write my daily email before things pick up. For those of you counting, I am at 19 days in a row writing. Only 981 days to reach my goal of writing for 1,000 days straight. Today, I want to talk about failure. I made a new friend yesterday, and he let me ramble on a bit about our company's history. I went way back and started off with my dad's business history. There is no way to sugarcoat it. My dad has had some major failures in his business career. Few people have been on top of the world as many times as my dad, only to have unforeseen external events wipe them out. And while it has been rough on him, his experiences have taught me the most important lesson in my life. No matter how far down you are, no matter how bleak things look, no matter how hopeless a cause seems, you keep showing up with optimism and hope for the future. You can be down 95-0 at halftime. But when you step on that field to start the second half, you better walk on the field with swagger and confidence. You better make yourself believe that you are still in the game. It doesn't serve you to operate any other way. In the early 1970s, my dad started one of the very first cattle investment funds. As an aside, seeing how cattle was raised and sold caused my dad to give up red meat for the rest of his life, something he still practices to this day. For a while, it went extremely well. My pop was in his 30s, and he was loaded. He had a Maserati, and he was a high roller. Then inflation caused President Richard Nixon to put price controls on beef. No longer able to sell their cattle at a price that covered operating costs, the fund was wiped out, and his investors lost everything. In the 1980s, my dad built the Horton Grand Hotel in downtown San Diego. It is still there to this day on 4th and Island in the Gaslamp Quarter. My dad worked on that project for 14 years, not including all of the court cases that came later when the hotel was stolen from him by a crooked business partner. The partner went behind my dad's back and bought the mortgage from the bank and foreclosed on the hotel. This was a breach of fiduciary duty, and it was totally illegal. My dad won a bunch of court cases, but the partner had deeper pockets, and he kept appealing until finally my dad had to throw in the towel. Once in a while, my dad still talks about how one day he looked at this property that he had lovingly developed and thought to himself how cool it was to own a property worth $20 million. Little did he know that just a couple of years later, he would be declaring bankruptcy in his 50s. He had personally guaranteed the mortgage that was foreclosed on, and he was completely wiped out. The property is worth more than $50 million today, and it is still owned by the family of the crooked business partner. My brother and I were supposed to inherit that hotel someday. After 7 years in bankruptcy exile, my dad started another business in his 60s with my brother. Through a series of wild events, we ended up selling mining equipment to a big gold mine in Peru, and that led us into the chocolate business, also through a series of wild events. And we have had some big league failures in the chocolate business. For example, my dad and my brother took all the money they'd earned from the mining business and invested it in building a cacao processing facility in the jungle. My brother left his newborn daughter and wife for months at a time to go to the jungle to learn how to ferment and dry cacao. After tens of thousands of dollars invested, a year of separation from his family, and hundreds of trials, we took our cacao to a flavor testing lab in Peru to see how our cacao would score. and we failed the test miserably. After expending so much time, effort, and money, we were told that our cacao was terrible. 1 year later, we went back to the same lab and got a perfect score. After starting our business in 2008, by 2010, we finally had chocolate to sell. We had a business friend who convinced us to price our chocolate 40% higher than the next most expensive chocolate on the market. He told us that the quality and rare nature of the cacao would make this a no-brainer. He promised us that he would have all of the chocolate sold before the boat even arrived. Well, that didn't happen, and we ended up with about 20,000 pounds of chocolate sitting in a warehouse. Thus started a period of cold calling restaurants and chocolatiers to try to sell them our chocolate. The main person in charge of the cold calling effort was me, your old friend Adam Pearson. Priced at 40% above the next most expensive chocolate, we suffered through 2 years of rejection and hardship. But we managed to scratch out a clientele and keep the business going. Here's a little tip about cold calling. The worst thing in the world is to get dejected. You need to pick up that phone with sincere belief that the next person will be a buyer, even if all evidence indicates otherwise. In 2013, a customer ended up helping us get on Parts Unknown with Anthony Bourdain. That proved to be a big break for us, and it coincided with our best cacao harvest to date up to that point. The chocolate we sent to customers in 2013 was a smash hit, but the 2014 harvest was a total flop. We didn't know it at the time, but weather patterns can affect environmental yeast, which throws off fermentation. We know how to solve for that now, but we didn't at the time. After the triumphant year we had been waiting for in 2013, a bunch of clients placed even bigger orders in 2014. Almost immediately, we started getting complaints. People wanted to know why our chocolate tasted different. Were we using the same cacao? Could they get a refund? It was terrible. Just when we thought we were breaking through, we got hit with a bad setback. But what can you do? The best option is to smile your way through it and keep grinding. We got on a good multi-year run starting in 2015, and then the pandemic hit in 2020. Restaurants and chocolate shops were getting shut down all over the world. We stopped getting purchase orders, and we seriously considered shutting down our business as well. How could we keep buying cacao from cacao farmers if we had no known market for the chocolate? At this point, our wonderful customers came in. We made the decision to start selling our chocolate directly to the public for the first time ever, and it saved us. But nobody wants to buy chocolate from a depressed, sad, failure-ridden chocolate salesman. So we put on our smiley faces and moved forward, and it has brought us into what appears to be the most fun, meaningful, and prosperous time ever in our business's history. Of course, we've always had a good ace up our sleeves. Our chocolate is delicious. We have a joker up our sleeves too. My dad taught us how to maintain hope, enthusiasm, and joy, even through the most trying times. He showed us how to endure and keep a positive attitude no matter what is going on or how hard things seem. When you think about it, is there any benefit to approaching things in any other way? Yes, you have to face reality and make smart decisions, but given that, is it ever better to say, no, we can't succeed at this? As far as I can tell, it is always better 100% of the time to say, yes, we can still win. Even if you end up losing, you lose with hope, and you come back ready to fight another day. My dad went through a lot to teach us that lesson, and for that, I am forever grateful to him. You don't get to choose your parents. I lucked out.